Well, good evening. Welcome to Friday night, 6:30. Do you find it difficult as a content creator to come up with topics, to come up with what you're going to put out in the world? And do you find it hard to be productive? Well, if you find that's the case for you, look no further than tonight's show, because tonight you're going to hear from the content creator's content creator. This gentleman is a coach. He's fun. He's a professor. He's a technology professional. But mostly for me, he's a friend. We know him as Tech Troublemaker, and I know him as my friend Roy. I'm excited to have him here, and I'm excited for what he's going to share with you tonight to answer some of the questions about being productive as a content creator. So, welcome to the Purposeful Productivity Show. And tonight is about how one content creator is helping other creators reach their productivity goals. I'm Florence Donald. I'm your host, and I help and coach professionals, nonprofit executives, and business leaders to remove friction in their productivity system. And so that's what I talk about: removing friction in your productivity system. Let's get right into it, and we're going to welcome our guest, Tech Troublemaker. Welcome, Roy.
Hey, everybody. How everybody doing tonight? So, Florence, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited that you're here. Thank you
Me too.
for saying.
I know.
Thank you for saying yes.
I like
You make
being
me
here.
feel. Yeah, it'll be fun tonight. It will be fun tonight. We got folks already chiming in, but just in case there's somebody out there who doesn't know who Tech Troublemaker is, who are you, and where you came from, and what's your story?
That's a good question. I don't know. No. Um, so yeah, for a long time I just used YouTube as a place to upload videos for my students, and then I started doing tutorials, and then strangely people started watching those tutorials, and I got to thinking, maybe I should do something else. And so for a bit there, I went through several niches trying to figure out what my niche was. And so the one that I found most comfort in is learning new things and sharing with others how to do those things. My focus is on beginning content creators. You know, I've joked that I'm a beggar teaching another beggar where to find bread. And that's very much my focus. I want to lift up other creators. I think the best community is the one where creators collaborate together and try to build each other up and don't tear each other down. And so I really, just anybody that wants help, I try to reach out and do what I can to help them.
Awesome. And you really do. You really do. You took a person like me and said that you would help me, and I appreciate it. We got a few people already chiming in the building, so let's say good evening to a couple of folks. How about that?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with this young lady, and you do know her. Miss Leona Dooley, she was here. Welcome, welcome to the show this evening. And we have our moderators in the house saying hello. And we have Frank here with us. Good evening, Frank. Glad you're here. And we have Joshua here, part of the live tribe, chiming in already. And we do have others who are just simply listening. If you're listening, maybe you're feeding children or getting dinner ready, or you're working out, or you're just listening, welcome to the live tribe and welcome to the show tonight. It's gonna be fun. And if you happen to be a part of the replay crew, we're glad. Leave a comment down below. We want to know that you came through and said hello. Oh my goodness.
Tag team replay.
And we've got Podcasters Live, Mr. Steve Worthy in the building with us this evening. Welcome to the show. So before I start asking questions, I'm going to give our community a little instruction. And that is, if you have a question, I want to make sure Roy answers them. So please put a Q : in front of your question when you go to ask it. Q : and that'll help me find it. And then I'll make sure I get it on the screen and get it to Roy so he can answer your questions. Tonight is all about how one content creator, it's helping other, and particularly beginners, remove friction, how to be a content creator, and how to be productive. So I'm going to get right into the questions, Roy, if you don't mind.
All right, if you must.
If I must, I'm going to get into them. So the first question is, I'm going to say, what are three, and if you go more than three, that's okay, strategies that you have used to coach other creators to reduce the time that they need or they use to produce their content, specifically their live streams and their shows?
So first and foremost is to make their environment as frictionless as possible. So you talked about friction earlier. One of the things a lot of content creators fall into is that place they go to do content, they have to go and set it up every time. And so if you have it like that, then you're just not going to go live. You're not going to hit that big red button and say go live. And so you've got to figure out a way to make your environment as frictionless as possible. Find a corner, in one of your rooms in your house. You'd be surprised how many content creators go live right in their own bedroom. They just kind of make sure the bed's made up and they go live. And they might have a tripod. They put their iPhone or their Android phone right there on the tripod, and they may have a mic or they may have a lapel, and they just go live. You've got to make it frictionless, because if you have to put a lot of effort to get set up just to go live, you won't do it. So that's number one. Second of all, figure out what your niche is. What is it that you're passionate about? What can you talk about for 30 minutes without taking a breath because you are that excited about it? Then that is probably what your topic should be. And so, or something that you are an expert in, that should be what your topic is about. And then the other thing is ways to come up with ideas. So you'd be surprised. You go on YouTube and you type in how to and fill in the blank, and you just type the letter A, and it'll show you everything that begins with A that's how to. So say, for example, your videos are tutorials. One of our folks in the chat does amazing cooking tutorials, so she could go to YouTube and say, let me go find something nobody's done a recipe on, and do a live stream about that. And so, just different ways to come up with ideas. And so really those are kind of the top three. There is so many ideas out there. And then AI, I know right now AI has got a bad rap. Artificial intelligence, Chat GPT or Bard. I do currently prefer Chat GPT. Bard is still kind of in beta. Bard being Google's attempt at Chat GPT. But you can go there and type in a question, and it will give you some really good answers. And granted, you need to make them more human. You got to make them you. Don't use the way it writes it. Put those in your own words, and that's just another way to find ideas. So that's kind of my top thing. And then consistency. Some people say you need to post like every day. Well, nope, that's too much. YouTube will find you, but it does help to have consistency. Pretend, for example, you're like a TV show, and so I go live every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern every week. And so people know I'm going to be there because that's what I've built up. I've built up consistency, and they know they can expect I'm going to be there. And so I get a lot of community. My community shows up and watches my streams and interacts with me live. So those are just some of those are the big ones to help you out with creating content. So yeah. Oh, you're muted. Let's catch her back.
I did it. I had to get one in. Just one. That's my signature. We do have somebody else here in the building with us, and I definitely want to say good evening, because this is someone who has graced us, and it is Sha La 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 Productions. Robert, welcome.
Hey,
Robert,
Rob.
you always have great questions, so I hope you have a really good stinger question for our guest tonight. Get him. I'm going to put Robert on you. He'll ask you a tough question. So remember, gang, questions. We want to answer your questions. And so I'm going to move on to the next question, and that is, what are some common productivity challenges that you've had content creators tell you they're facing? Any particular challenges that
Yes.
that they've expressed?
probably first and foremost is I put the pro in procrastinate. So it's one that I battle with as well. But I have a lot of people say, "Oh, I just keep putting it off. I keep putting it off. I know I need to do the research, or I need to do," because I'm big on research before I go live on a topic. I'm big on finding guests to be on my show who are experts in their field, and so I want to make sure I give everybody the best information possible. But if you procrastinate, it keeps you from being productive. The other thing is they're not organized. It just make a simple checklist for yourself. Some people want a script, and that's fine. If that's what you want to do, you can do a teleprompter. I do say if you use a teleprompter, practice with it a lot so you can be natural, because you don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody likes it. Okay, and next you need to put flour and sugar in the recipe. No, don't read the teleprompter. You know, my suggestion is put like bullet points up there so that mnemonic devices to remind you of what you're going to talk about, and that's a good safety net to have bullet points. So I don't recommend the script, but if that's what you need and you're a natural with it, then go for it. Get you a teleprompter or something like that to go through. I've met people who can write their scripts in their own voice. I am so
Mm.
jealous of those people because I can't. I write as if I'm writing. I don't write as if I'm speaking because I'm an idiot when I speak, but when I write, I do pretty well. And so, I just want to make sure that I'm, being very methodical and everything. And then, the other challenge is time management. A lot of folks just fight the challenge of time management, and then equipment. So, great, you bought that fancy camera, but you didn't spend the time to learn how to use it. If you should go live with simple things. The main thing is get your audio as good as you possibly can get it, but learn how to use the equipment you have. There's so many people I see they're struggling with the equipment because they haven't taken the time to learn how to use it. So, I have a nice camera, but for a long time I used just a Logitech C920 webcam, and with good lighting, you can make that a great camera. You absolutely can. And it's a very inexpensive camera to get started with. The key thing, and then most of our cell phones these days have fantastic cameras. So don't let equipment stop you. And that's another thing. When I first started, I was collecting equipment because I thought I had to be at a certain level of perfection before I could go live. And then I realized, oh man, just go live with what you got. And as they jokingly say, I'll fix it in the mix. Over time I've collected new gear and I've upgraded my game, and so I'm very pleased with where I am with lighting and cameras and mics and that type of thing. But I still make mistakes. The other night, if you watched my live stream, I didn't realize my streaming software had jumped to the microphone on my camera, and it was picking up all the static in the room because obviously there's white noise going on in the room and I didn't know it. So I finally get on the right mic, and even then I got up the level. So things happen. Live is live. As long as you're having fun, go with it.
Well,
How's that? Did I talk too much?
no, you did not talk too much. And we do have another champion here in the building with us, Mr. James Hicks. Welcome to the
Yeah.
building, sir. Glad that you dropped by and glad that you said hello and let us know that you're out there. So we have real champions here tonight, and we're just here to share. We're simply here to share with the community, those who are in the stream and those who are just simply listening to us tonight. And I'm excited to have that. So, Roy, I'm going to throw a curveball. You
Cool.
recently started a newsletter. So was it
Yes.
it's a new part of your business. And so you had to work out a system for
I
pulling
did.
it together and getting it out and still staying productive on a schedule. What are some of the things you considered when you were planning to put this newsletter out? And
I Yeah, I've been wanting to do a newsletter for a long time, and I'll see topics. I'm like, oh man, somebody would. I think that's so cool. Somebody else would think that was really cool. Or I'll see a tutorial somebody else has done. Like, that's amazing. They've really gone into great detail. I think people that follow me or in my community would really benefit from that. And so I open up a Google Doc and I start collecting those links. And so finally, I just said, I've got to do this. I've got to go ahead and pull the trigger and do this. And so, about 3 weeks ago, I finally started it. I got, about 7 or 8 subscribers now. So it's going to grow slow. I know. I'm not very good at hyping things. So this is one of my weaknesses, is that I'm terrible at hyping or promoting myself. So it's you almost have to like stumble upon it to find it. But I mentioned it a couple times on a live stream, and I've had some folks subscribe. But I really want to get them value. And if I see somebody else has done something amazing that would be really helpful to people, I want to share that. Because again, it's about growing as content creators. It's not about competition or anything like that. So good information is good information. We got to be able to give a kudos to anybody that's doing a great job, and not have any jealousy or anything. Because I've ran into some content creators who are very jealous, and they don't want to share. They don't want to collaborate. It's like they're an island themselves, and I don't understand that. So, yeah, it's a challenge.
Wow. You've added this newsletter.
Yeah.
And we know in the last 3 weeks, yet another new thing has hit that creators, at least those who are on YouTube, can take advantage of. Any strategies or tips on now incorporating podcasting, video podcasting, as well as audio podcasting? Yeah. If you're on YouTube as a creator and you're already up and running, any tips that you would recommend that someone would take? Again, it's about being productive, not adding to your day, but doing it in a way that you're not overwhelming yourself.
So, if you don't know about YouTube podcasts, it's great. I'm getting ready to roll out my podcast out there as well. I have a podcast currently that's audio only. That is the audio from a lot of my live streams, and I will edit that down. But then for a video podcast, what I would do is first I would repurpose my content, and I would go in and I would literally edit it down to segments that make sense for audio, because a lot of your listeners are going to listen to it audio only, or they're going to watch it as a video. But you want to make sure that if they are listening to it audio, then all those, hey, look on the screen right here, there's this, look, see this little red icon? That's not going to make the transition to audio. So my recommendation is to take your content you've made and trim it down as if you were going to take it and turn it into a video by itself. And that's what you do. And then you can go to YouTube Podcast. You can say, put those videos in a playlist. And then you can go to YouTube Podcast and say, make this playlist a podcast. And then you need to make a square image for your podcast, just like on Apple. It needs to be at least 3,000 pixels by 3,000 pixels. You can go on Canva and make it and say, blow up my thumbnail to that size, and then rearrange it and make it look good in that aspect ratio. And then upload that. And then that's the graphic people are going to see when they go look through the podcast. And then when they click on that, it's going to take them to a playlist of your podcast. And if your podcast has, you should do them if your isn't like a story, for example, if it isn't serial where I can't watch next week because I didn't watch the week before, then you should put your newest videos first and put those out there first. But if you have a podcast maybe that has to be in a certain order, then make your playlist in that order. Eventually YouTube is going to have RSS feeds. I guess the question is, what's going to happen then? Because and Spotify is making a big push for video podcasts as well. So you should be able to very easily upload that same podcast over to Spotify and try to get traction there as well. But once YouTube comes up with the RSS feed, I'm expecting YouTube to put a spin on it. I don't know what that is going to be yet, but YouTube's going to say, that's good, but it could be better. Kind of like, Benford Tools, Benford 2000. Yep. So, more power. So they're going to do something. It's going to be something, because, Apple Podcasts don't lend themselves to video yet. So the question is this going to change up the video industry, the podcast industry? I do expect some shakeups to happen. It won't be right away. And the bright side, though, is if you have YouTube Music, the podcasts are going to show up there, so you can list them as audio, but you'll also be able to watch as a video. So I think this is a really great thing. They got 2 billion people on YouTube. Okay, potential for an audience is huge, and if you just got to bring the product to them and make it there and make your podcast interesting. This is a chance. If you had a video where there was a lot of boring parts, cut those parts out and just trim it down to the most interesting part of that podcast, of that show, that video, and post on YouTube podcast. It's going to be amazing. In 2 weeks, I'm going to have Steve Worthy on my show. We're going to talk about this very topic. So I hate to give away too much information, but
Don't give away too much now. They got to
don't
come
worry.
back. They got to
Steve will
come
straighten
back.
out. Steve Worthy's going to fix all the things I got wrong tonight. So it'll be great. So in 2 weeks on my channel, I'll be going live on Tuesday night with him, and we'll be talking about podcasts, both YouTube and Spotify, and just how to start a podcast. Because if you hadn't, it's time already. Why haven't you? It's not hard. It really is easy.
Okay, well, we've got some questions, and we've got another young lady in the audience with us, in the building with us. We've got this and that with Denise Jordan, and she has a question for you. Her question is, how would I go about creating a video podcast? That may be a great question for you and Mr. Worthy in a couple of weeks, but you
I
can
know.
tease a little bit.
Well, I can start with a good answer, but Steve Worthy's going to have the best answer because he is the podcast guy. So he's been podcasting a lot longer than I have, and he has at least 2, if not 3, podcasts going on right now. So he definitely has expertise there. But Denise, if you've got some episodes of your on your channel where you've done maybe interviews, or you've done things where you're kind of talking people through how to do something, those are videos that you could reuse. I do think the challenge of a video where you're doing demonstrations of things is going to be a little bit of a challenge as a podcast, at least as an audio podcast. I mean, you still absolutely could. And if it's great video content, it could be nobody goes and listens to it as audio anyway. But YouTube Music is giving people the option to listen to our podcast as audio. And so you want to optimize the video to also be good audio. And so I would recommend reusing your content, or maybe consider doing some talking head type videos where you're just talking through something, giving tips, anything where you're doing like listicles, like you said you like to do. An episode where you're just doing listicles and you're not actually demonstrating anything would probably make excellent podcast content. So I think everybody should go with their strengths and what their already is working. Denise, you got so many things working for you already. Just take that same formula and figure out how to make it a podcast and have it be a great video as well as good audio as well. So that would be my suggestion.
Awesome. We've got a couple of other folks and a couple of other questions in the building with us. I want to say good evening to someone who you know, Roy. Philip, welcome. With that cute puppy. And so we have another question from Sha-La-La-La-La Productions, and this is a long question, so we're going to break this joke up. What do you find is your biggest challenge with live streaming? Finding guests, finding topics for your show, repurposing live stream, or promoting your live stream? This is like a 15-part question.
Yeah. Did you want to go first? He said both of us.
Yeah. No, you go.
Okay. So okay. So the catch for me is that these are all challenges. If I tell you which one's the biggest, let me think. It's probably promoting my live stream. That's the thing I'm the weakest at. I mean, I'll do the whole Instagram and do a little live segment, or I'll do a reel to try to get people. Of course, reels are going the way of the dodo on Instagram, sort of. It's a weird world right now on Instagram. But I will go out and do promotional stuff. I'll try to do thumbnails, or I'll do images on my community page to let people know that video's coming. I'll also do the same image on Instagram and on Twitter. I'm very much about reusing something I create and go across multiple platforms. But I may change the verbiage on each one to match kind of what they're doing there. But I'm just not very good at promoting guests. It's you don't get the guests you don't ask. And so I do find you would be surprised who will say yes to your show. And so I've had some guests, I'm like, wow, I didn't think they'd say yes. Or I had a guest that said, no, I can't be on your show. And then a month later, they reached out and said, hey, I can be on your show now. And I thought, previously I took it personal because it sounded like they were mad at me, but no, it just turned out they were busy and they just were so under stress and burned out. They just didn't have enough energy to put into going live with me. Um, and then the other part, finding topics. So, I do struggle with finding topics, but it's like every other month I will suddenly have a brainstorm of topics, and I do a lot better job of writing them down. I use Google Keep, and I will immediately go and make notes of ideas that pop in my head. Say, okay, that's a good idea, and then I'll literally turn that into a checklist, and I'll say, okay, I'm gonna do this one this week, and I'm gonna do this one this week, and then the other part is I want to get a guest on. So sometimes I'll have a topic, but if I can't get a guest that I think lends more credibility to it, then I will delay a topic, because I want, if I can present it well, then I'll do it. But I'd really like to have a guest, so that you guys have somebody way more interesting than me on the show. Like, for example, I'm on Florence's show, and she's the interesting one, and she's not even talking right now. So, yeah, but that's it. But really, self promotion is the hardest thing for me. I don't know how to do it well. I just don't.
Wow. So for me, my biggest challenge is repurposing my live stream. That is the one that I've got to put more time into. Promoting the live stream, I'm coming along. I don't know that it's the biggest challenge, but really repurposing is for me. Finding guests, I've only done a few guests and they've been gracious to say yes. I haven't run into the person yet who hasn't said yes. I'm pretty methodical, maybe a little bit too methodical for some people. But that's yeah. I'm really methodical, y'all. So I do give my guests sort of a lot. I give them homework. And so they, someone hearing this may say, yeah, I'm never coming on her show. But I try to, and the reason is I want to make it comfortable. And I don't want the guests who come in to be wondering, what is she going to ask me? What is the topic? How is the flow going to be? And that kind of thing. So finding guests has worked pretty well for me so far. My topics are all around productivity, and there's so much that one can do to be productive, to reduce friction in our life and how we approach things. I've got more topics than I feel like I can get to, quite frankly. And so that is not a challenge for me. I've already got April planned out, what the topic area is going to be. It's already planned out and selected. So that's that. My answer to that question. Thank you, Robert, saying you like the logo on the lower thirds. Thank you so much. I tried something new. I keep trying new little things to get better here each week. So we have another question, and this one you will like because this is real productivity. What is Google Keep, and how can it help a scattered person like me? Roy, you love this tool, so go for it.
I do. So Google Keep, think of it as sticky notes on a web browser would be the best way to describe it. So you can, with Google Keep, you can open it in a web browser. You can download the Google Keep app, and then you just go in. It's like a sticky note. I hit a plus sign, and then I start taking notes. It's also really great for grocery lists, and you can also share documents out of Keep with other people who also use Gmail. So, for example, and this is not helpful for content creation, but I use it for a grocery list, and I share it with my family and say, hey, help me figure out what we need to buy for groceries. But I use it because it opens so fast on my phone. On my computer, I can literally just type keep.google.com. If you have a Gmail account, you already have access to Keep. It keeps all my notes synchronized. It backs them up as soon as I type them in. It's real simple. You can't do anything real fancy with it. You can do numbered lists. You can paste things in. You can paste web address. I use it for taking notes at church. I use it for just complete note taking, and then you can create labels. So I'll have like YouTube, and I put that label in any of my notes that are about YouTube content creation that way, and one about faith, and a label for groceries. So I have lots of other labels too. Crazy ideas, things I thought at 3 a.m. Different labels. So and that's what I use. I know that Florence is a big fan of Evernote. Evernote is probably Google Keep on steroids because there's so many things you can do with Evernote. And also OneNote. Microsoft's OneNote is always felt like overkill to me, but OneNote is also a great note taking. It's lots of other things too, but it does note taking well also. And the cool thing I like about Google Keep though is I literally can press the microphone and talk, and it will type as I speak what my note is for me. So I don't even have to. I can do hands free and put in an idea into it. So that's what it is. If you go to keep.google.com and you already have a Gmail account logged in, it will take you right there, and you can start using it. You can download the app. It works on iPhone and Android. It works on operating systems you probably never even use, like Linux and others. If you can open a web browser, it's there.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. It is a very cool product. I do use it on occasion. I think I shared with you one time I was someplace where I didn't have my phone, I didn't have anything, and it was on a computer that I couldn't really do anything with. So I just went keep.google.com, put my notes in, and one of the reasons I like Evernote is you can get virtually anything from anywhere in the Evernote. And so I knew I wouldn't lose it. So I just clicked a button, and what I had put in Keep went in the Evernote, and I was good, and it was in my one place where I go look for information. So moving on, do we have any other? I don't see any other new questions. I'm going to do this here. We're not going to be all night tonight, but I'm going to put this. we're going to put this up because if you guys don't have a lot of questions, I'm going to do it right now. Oh, I have to put this up. You have inspired someone. See? I just downloaded it. Thank you. I need something to help me with keeping track of ideas. Awesome, Denise. Glad you got value tonight already and you took action on it. So that is awesome. So what I'm going to do now is tell you all, last call. Last call. Get it in. Get that drink in. You get the question formulated and typed in so that Roy can answer it. Last call. Y'all know what that means.
If you hit that like button, I'll give you better answers.
Okay, I'm going to leave that alone. So, Roy, our next question for you is, you've been helping people, and you don't like... our community is too much. Last call for alcohol. What are some of your successes in helping creators? You talk about you're the content creator, the beggar, helping the other beggars how to find bread. But what are some of the successes? Because I know you have some, even though you don't like talking about them.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple of folks that, I've helped them turn their videos into audio podcasts, and walk them through that process. I've got folks that have just reached out and said, "Hey, Roy, can you help me get my lighting squared away?" So we'll jump on whatever the streaming software is, and we'll work through lighting together. We'll work through audio issues. I do a lot of that where I jump on with other creators and they say, I'm trying to solve this, and so I jump on with them. We try to fix it. Or I've had some say, "I can't come up with any ideas," and we'll just talk through what they are good at and what they're doing, and I'll show them multiple ways to go online and find keyword search to try to find good topics for their show them how to use Chat GPT, and then often that gives me ideas for shows I should do on my channel. So somebody calls me and says, "Hey, how do you do this?" And we'll work through that, and then I'll go make a show about it. "Hey, that's good. How can you somebody reached out to me and said, my hard drive is filling up with all these videos. How can I offload them?" And so we worked together, and then I did an episode of my show that talked about how to get organized, how to organize your files. I had Coulter read on, and I said, "Hey, Coulter, this is a great topic. Let's go in together," because he is really amazing at organizing and brainstorming ideas and that type of thing. So, I love that opportunity then to bring on a cool guest to talk about a topic, So, yeah, that's just some of the things I've done. I've done a lot of stuff. I helped some folks with some video editing, and I've helped some folks with some audio production issues, and so I'm just all over the place. If I can help, I try to jump in. So that's me.
Okay, awesome. So while we're giving people one last chance, one of the things that I know you have done is you also have launched your website.
I have
And
TechTroublemaker.com. Yeah.
let's hear about this. What are we putting front and center on this site? What are we trying to accomplish with it?
Well, I was trying to find one-stop shopping for everybody. The problem is that my original blog site I turned into the website for my podcast and for my video channel, and it didn't match up my branding. So people like, where'd I go find you at? So it's like, well, I went here and it didn't make sense. So I've had the domain name TechTroublemaker.com for about 2 years, and I finally said, okay, I'm gonna make a website finally. So it's to put everything in one place, so one-stop shopping for all things Tech Troublemaker. Here in the near future, I will be selling some cool shirts and some coffee mugs and stuff. So I will be doing some merchandising out of that as well. Did an episode a few weeks back where you talk about ways to monetize without, whether YouTube's monetized you or not. So I recommend that if you're trying to figure out ways to make money. But yeah, that's really what I'm looking to is you go there, you can get, I'll post like articles and stuff there as well. I'll do highlights of videos. I also do kind of show notes to add to what I've already posted. And eventually it'll have my audio podcast there as well. So I'm getting ready to pivot my podcast to a new name. It's going to be the Tech Troublemaker Show. It's currently called the One Off Tech Podcast. I've had that. I'm in season 5, and I'm going to rebrand, and start over. So.
Okay, so now we're gonna get into a little bit of tutorial here, because our Denise wants to know, how do we save in Google Keep?
It automatically saves. If you have an internet connection or a network connection, automatically saves. When you close out, you go back and it'll be there.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to push a button to tell it to save. It just does it. So.
That's one of the cool features about it, is it's just there, right? Yep. And the 3 tools that you mentioned tonight, they all work the same. Once you put information in it, it's there. There's no save button, which is kind of, you think about it like, what? Because I won't say I'm old. So I grew up where you had to hit save, and if you didn't, your computer did something wonky, and then, 19 hours of work just went the way of the dodo bird. So I love having these tools where I don't have to hit the save button.
Yeah. I remember the days of Microsoft Excel crashing, and you're having to take this temp file and say, can I recover anything out of it that resembles the work I spent 6 hours doing?
Right, exactly. And so Denise says, tonight's takeaway is getting more organized with Google Keep. So she's already put her takeaway in. Thank you for sharing it. I did put a message out, what's your win of the week? Because we want to celebrate with you. We want to celebrate whatever you've done that has been impactful. And then also a takeaway, if you have one from the show tonight. And thank you, Denise, for sharing your takeaway with us already. So Roy, I'm going to flip it a little bit and ask you, because usually I go first, but I'm just going to make it different tonight. What's your productivity win this week?
Wow, did I win this week? No, so I mean, I went live Tuesday night. That usually is the highlight of my week. I really absolutely love, and had Denise on. She's an amazing guest. Denise is such a fun person. Also had Janet Dobbs on. She's also amazing. She does a lot of work with animals and therapy and that type of stuff. So really neat guest. And so I was happy about that. I had another guest planned for that episode, and unfortunately due to health issues, she didn't get to be on the show. But we persevered and we made it happen. And of course, I had such great guests. It was not a problem. It ended up being a fantastic episode. So, and Denise told an amazing story, which you'll have to watch Tuesday night's episode to go find out that story. So you got to go see that. It was pretty hilarious.
So Denise says her win was and I remember you talking about this. Started her group coaching last night. She held her first coaching session. Congratulations. That is an awesome, amazing win. You're continuing your education of homemakers, and now you're into doing group coaching. So that is fantastic. And I just want to share this with you, Roy. You have a new hashtag, so you have to borrow this.
Okay.
And you have to adopt it. One of our moderators. Don't forget to save techtroublemaker.com to your favorite websites. Hashtag stay connected with tech. Hashtag. So
Yeah.
you have to use that hashtag stay connected with tech. That is a great one for you. And if you have not connected with me, I'm going to take a moment, give Roy a break to get a sip of water while I tell you how to connect with me. And we'll be back. So first of all, if you are listening and you have not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Hit the like button if you haven't hit it yet tonight, and share this video with someone who needs it. Share it by email, Twitter, Instagram, however you want to share the information. And it's not about me, it's about this community that's coming together. Thank you all so much for giving me your time. And then if you want to connect with me offline, so to speak, you can go to florencedonald.live, and there the main thing is book 15 minutes with me to talk about what your needs are in terms of personal productivity. Just book the 15 minutes. It's free. We'll connect. And then there's also an opportunity for you to get to join our community where I'm sharing content that's not available publicly to the members of the community. So you can join the community there and get some of that additional content that's coming out and available to members of the community, either one time or ongoing support of the channel. So and we have a team, a community member who is really going all in tonight. I'm going to bring Roy back while I babble. Roy, Denise is putting it in tonight. Let me just, you gotta see this. She says, Roy, teach your kids how to load your dishwasher.
True. I need to do that. I need to do that.
That would be a productivity tip.
It would be. I'm usually the only one that loads the dishwasher, though. So it's true. Sometimes my wife empties it, which for some reason that makes me happy. I like loading it. I don't like emptying it. I don't know why. So.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, teach them how to load the dishwasher. So we're not getting any more questions. We've had a few. I'm going to ask you, is there anything else that you think that content creators you can share tonight that you've got in your toolbox? Any tips, strategies, tools that you would share with creators to help them be productive that you feel like you want to share?
Definitely. One thing I didn't mention earlier is burnout. So it is really easy to get burned out in content creation. So I highly recommend pacing yourself. If you're doing it and it's no longer fun, it might be time to take a break. So give yourself grace, give yourself a break if you reach burnout. It's way better to build your energy back up and produce great quality content than it is to just phone it in and be burned out, and people can see it. They know when you're burned out. They can see it in your face, in your expression, and the way you talk. So definitely be sure to give yourself a break if you need it.
Awesome. And Denise says it's a thing. I think she's talking about burnout. I'm not sure about that. She may be talking about burnout. Well, Roy, it has been my pleasure. You know, I always like talking to you, but it has been my pleasure having you on the show tonight. And it is wonderful to have the community show up, ask you questions. Thank you for being willing to answer those questions. And I'm going to go ahead and let us get out of here so you can spend a little bit of time with your family.
Yeah, go wash dishes.
You know what, sir, we are not going to go wash dishes tonight, are you?
Okay, I'm waiting till tomorrow, just for you. I'll wait till tomorrow morning.
Maybe we should take that hashtag, stay connected with tech, or we should take it back. How about that? Because we're not going to do that. But I'm really grateful. I'm going to say this to you publicly while we're here. One, thank you for being gracious enough to come. Thank you for sharing what you know. And thank you for being willing to be a content creator who's willing to grow other content creators. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Plus, I like hanging out with you.
I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed being here. So thank you for asking me. Thank
All
you.
right, guys, we're going to get out of here. So, and I always do it wrong, but I'll put a video up so you can get more information about what we're doing and how we're doing it. And I look forward to seeing you guys next Friday at 6:30 p.m.